Hello, welcome to a new edition of Laurel Park Weekly. It's Wednesday, August 9th. We're live here at the historic Laurel Park paddock. I'm Stanton Salter, along with the voice of Maryland Racing, Dave Rodman. Ty Ellis is joining us here. We have the three-person crew as we're going to give you a 20-horse showcase. We had 17 horses in races we talked about last week. We figured we'd just weed up it, make it a nice even number. 20 horses in races we're going to talk about today. Races from last weekend and a bunch of big races coming up this week. And how are you guys?
Great. Many furlongs to cover, but we're bred for the distance, so we can do it, right?
Doing good. Racing across the country was fantastic last week. We had fantastic racing here, a couple upsets to spur a pick six that was hit on Saturday.
Yeah, they hit it for almost 15,000 right here at Laurel Park. Somebody took it down for 14,800, almost 15,000. So right here at Laurel Park, they took down the Rainbow Pick Six Saturday. So congratulations.
A great bet for 20 cents. It's not too bad taking home all that money. It's why when the jackpot gets up there, the 8,000 carryover range, you got to play it.
All right, well, lots to get to from last week, and let's show you what's coming up here August 19th here at Laurel Park. Saturday, August 19th, the big Maryland Pride Day. We're going to have some great live racing, free hat for all the everybody that comes, and you get a free Maryland Jockey Club hat with every program purchase. That's going to be Saturday, August 19th, Maryland Pride. Some great stakes racing. You'll have some Maryland bred stake racing, some Maryland food, some Maryland alcohol, some Maryland beer, Maryland whiskey with Sagamore spirits, so all kinds of action. It's going to be, it was a huge day last year. Looking forward to another big day, Saturday, August 19th, Maryland Pride Day.
Sagamore and Jailbreak Brewery from right down the road here at Laurel Park, and Flying Dog, another Maryland brewery that's getting its name known nationwide, will provide the drink and, of course, great crab cakes, I'm sure.
All right, so that's Saturday, August 19th. Also, that's a big day for all you tournament players. It's the Champions Handicapping Tournament, Saturday, August 19th, right here at Laurel Park. Over $33,000 in prizes. It's also a big qualifying tournament for some of the big ones, the National Handicapping Championship, the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge, and the big one. So this is a big tournament on the calendar of tournaments, Saturday, August 19th. It'll be up in the sports bar, I believe, this year, right, for the Champions Tournament?
That's correct. And you're going to have some heavy hitters coming down from New York and New Jersey coming down. It's going to be packed up there, but it's always a fun event, especially up in that new sports bar. It's really conducive to a tournament atmosphere like that.
Yeah, with 90 televisions, HD TVs, you won't miss any of the action. Of course, a lot of tracks in the tournament, and of course, you might want to play tracks that are not in the tournament as well. There's plenty of places to watch the races up there in the sports bar.
All right, so look, go to the website laurelpark.com to learn more about the Champions Handicapping Tournament and Maryland Pride Day coming up Saturday, August 19th. And for all you really big tournament players, mark your calendar for this next January, the big tournament of the year. Total estimated prize pool over $500,000. Live money buy-in $12,000. This is a Grade 1 big league betting championship. It's the Pegasus World Cup betting championship down there at Gulfstream, January 26th and 27th.
Let's get it. 26th and 27th. Not too far to look ahead, especially for that kind of money. Get your reservations and get down to Florida.
Yeah, we're going to have to get a team together, I think, and make a road trip down there. Ty, what do you say?
That's kind of the champion of championships for betting tournaments.
But
we're actually
give us a day off.
We're a satellite site, so people can play it here at Laurel Park.
The Pegasus World Cup Championship.
Yes.
They can play right here at Laurel?
Yep, we're a satellite site.
So you don't have to fly down there.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
Yep.
I did not
know that. So they could play for over $500,000 right here at Laurel Park.
Absolutely.
In the Pegasus World Cup. All right. Can we play? We got to find out about that.
We'll have to find out.
We'll have
I
to
hope
have
so.
A team of our good friends to play in that big tournament. So that's coming up in January. We'll keep you updated. I'm sure there'll be lots of big announcements as we get closer to the Pegasus World Cup Betting Championship. Let's get right to a big weekend of racing last weekend here at Laurel Park. Let's show you what happened here in our local recap. We had 4 stake races last Saturday. It was a huge day. The handle was way up. We had 11 races in total, and Special Envoy, the big star of the day. No surprise here for trainer Arnaud Delacour. It was in the Hansel Stakes, the first of 4 stakes last Saturday. Special Envoy, the heavy favorite in front, turnover home, and the 6-year-old Son of Stroll goes all the way. So Virginia homebred for Mr. and Mrs. Bertram R. Firestone. Arnaud Delacour continues his hot summer here at Laurel Park. Nice ride by Daniel Centeno on the heavy favored Special Envoy.
Big show plunger in this race, and lived up to the nickel to a dollar win wagering billing there, paying 210, 210, 210 across the board, handling this. I mean, last time he ran, he won a stake against Rosebriar, who's now retired. They tried to beat him on Saturday afternoon, but he was just way too much with a Hansel-like victory who drew off in the Preakness in 91.
Yep,
Right?
that was your first Preakness, right?
Right, and I think maybe Hansel's margin was 8. His margin was 8. It was a widening win.
All right, so special envoy and asking Arnaud Delacour where is he going to go next with this Virginia bred, and he said, well, there's another Virginia bred stake coming up here later on this summer, so we'll look forward to seeing special envoy right back here at Laurel Park. How about the 10-year-old, huh? The 10-year-old Two Notch Road back in good form last Saturday in the Meadow Stable Stakes for trainer Glenn Thompson. He's part owner of this 10-year-old by Partners Hero, Virginia bred by James Hackman. It looked like Tis Our Time was home free, but this 10-year-old, third start this year as a 10-year-old. His first 2 races weren't very good, but he gets back in good form here. A nice $10 winner as he runs down the front runner. Here he comes on the outside, Two Notch Road.
There were a couple races like this, Stan, where the home runner looked free, and then the horses coming behind, in this case Two Notch Road, needed every inch of that deep stretch, that long stretch here on the turf course. And the turf course has really been playing to front runners all week, so kind of going against the form of the turf course today. But that was a good price. I'm amazed the horse went off at 4-1. I actually singled the horse in my pick 5.
Really a horse who's had a lot of longevity because of time off, according to trainer Glenn Thompson, right, Stan?
Yep, getting the winner off and keeping him going, and he had last winner off. It took him a few races to get back in his best stride. I've always liked him. I jumped off the Two Notch Road bandwagon, and he gets me a $10 winner there. My key horse was Tis Our Time, was my best bet of the day. I was keying on Tis Our Time and all my multi-race wagers. Just get beat at the wire there, but good to see Two Notch Road back in winning form. Let's talk about Northern Eclipse in great form right now for trainer Hugh McMahon and owner Toby Roth. What a nice claim for trainer Hugh McMahon. Claimed this is another Firestone homebred, Firestone Virginia bred. So the Firestones won 2 big stake races last Saturday with the Virginia breds. Northern Eclipse in front, turnover home, goes all the way with J.D. Acosta aboard, a $6 winner in the Camptown. Hugh McMahon now 3 wins with this 5-year-old mare since the claim.
Yeah, Ty, you liked that horse last week, I remember. Hope you played him.
I did, yeah. I had the horse. It was a good win. Another horse that on the front here in the turf course. But you see here some horses were making up some ground, but it was a good win there.
The orange colors of Toby Roth having a good year, Ty. They really are. I mean, he's got a pretty good record, owner Toby Roth, this year. A very limited amount of starters. A ring knocker, it kind of ultimately like an even pace in mid-stretch. It didn't even look like he was going to finish second, but once he got outside, he started to run on a little bit. Maybe a horse who liked to run more out in the clear, and he almost got there, but it was Northern Eclipse.
So that's 2 wins in a row for the Virginia bred Northern Eclipse here at Laurel Park. Let's take a look at the William M. Backer, one of the features last Saturday. In my best bet, my pick in this race was Armour. What a move by Daniel Centeno. Turnover home, shoots the rail on Armour. Looks like he's home free, but here comes this long shot. Sweet Sandy from way back, a $29 winner. 5-year-old mare by Flatter, trained by Daniel Hodson, the trainer's first stakes win. Yeah, looks like Armour is home free, but here comes Sweet Sandy. Nice come from behind ride by Jevion Toledo. Did you think she was going to get there, Dave?
Yeah, the relentless rally right here. I said, yeah, absolutely. Trainer Daniel Hodson with the first stakes win, right, for her.
Yep.
Sweet Sandy comes from dead last, and we discussed, I believe, a little bit last week that Queen Caroline perhaps would be a little vulnerable in this particular stake. She got away with an easy pace, and long shot Grace is ready, zips out of there at 20-1 and sets a fast pace. Everyone chased, setting up for a closer. I'm wild with that. Just a crafty move on the rail by Centeno, who came through an opening about this big on the rail, but Sweet Sandy prevailed from last to first. Another big price winner, $29.80.
And I think this was a race that spurred that pick 6. I think a lot of people probably keyed on Armoire, Queen Caroline in this situation, and she was Sweet Sandy. It was a good win. It was tough to come up with, but it was good. At least one person had the horse on their ticket.
Good work by Danielle Hodgson, who I think we've seen ride on the steeplechase.
Local girl steeplechase jockey and trainer, and Yeah, Sweet Sandy, 5-year-old mare by Flatter, a Lazy Lane Farms, Virginia bred down there. So big win for Hodson with Sweet Sandy and the William and Backer trainer Phil Schoenthal. Nobody had a bigger weekend than him last week, and he won 3 races on Saturday, had a nice win Sunday as well. Let's take a look here at one of his wins he had last Saturday. He won the early daily double, then he had a nice win in race 6. A nice 2-year-old he has here, very nice 2-year-old. Let's take a look here at VIP code 2-year-old by City Zip. This is a Maryland bred out of a hold for Gold Mare bred. This is a home bred for Ever Stables Incorporated. Second in debut to Barry Lee, that Sharp Sagamore Farm winner, and now comes back. I had to work for it here on the outside, but the horse that was in front, Clouded Judgment, a nice debut performance there from the Lacey Gaudette barn with Clouded Judgment, but VIP code, very determined win on the outside.
Oh, when Barry Lee broke his maiden in stunning fashion, everybody thought, well, VIP code won't be a maiden very long. Everybody saw him gallop out, and they pounded him at the windows. He was 1-2. Now we can say the same thing, I think, about Clouded Judgment. A really sharp performance from that debut runner. He's going to be a really short price next out.
Absolutely. The horse, Clouded Judgment, is going to be one to look for. The time, 58.50, so it was a decent time. Should improve going a little bit further.
All right, so some nice 2-year-olds to keep an eye on there. VIP code, the winner in Clouded Judgment, and I'm excited to see Barry Lee come when he runs back. When he won here, the Connections trainer House to the Pass, they were thinking maybe the Saratoga Special next with them up there at the Spa.
I hope so. Hope so. We'd like to see him win the big one.
And that would elevate some of our other horses. That would just make VIP code look that much better if that horse does ship up to Saratoga.
2-year-olds really, I think, have been the stars here at Laurel the last few months. We've had some really nice youngsters run, win, make impacts throughout the country, including Saratoga.
All right, so keep your eye on Barry Lee up there at Saratoga and VIP code. Who knows where he'll end up next. Let's get a quick commercial break. When we come back, some big national races from last weekend. We'll talk about those. Also, we'll talk about the national scene coming up this weekend. Also, the local scene. 2 big stake races right here at Laurel Park this Saturday. All that's right after this. Welcome back, Laurel Park Weekly. I'm Stan Salter, Dave Rodman, Ty Ellis, getting you ready for the big weekend coming up here at Laurel Park. We have 2 stake races this Saturday, but first we're catching you up on all the action from last weekend. We just showed you all the local races. We had a big stakes race, big stakes Saturday last Saturday with 4 stake races and some big national stakes all over the country. The Grade 1 Whitney, probably the feature of the country last Saturday up there at Saratoga. And Gunrunner, with an unusual piece of equipment in his tail, gets the job done in the Whitney. Became a social media sensation, not just because he won the Whitney, because one of his shoes came off and his shoe was dangling in his tail. How good a win was this by Gunrunner for Steve Asmussen in the Whitney, Dave?
Basically, Cautious Giant was ahead of him early, and he just tracked, but it was Cautious Giant's shoe that became entangled into Gunrunner's tail, and the picture, I'm sure, is been on Twitter probably 10,000 or more times. But superb performance, winning by 5+, 3-5 favorite with Florent Giroux, and I guess now we can anticipate perhaps Arrogate coming back to top form in the Pacific Classic and then matchup.
I'm excited to see what Arrogate does in the Pacific Classic after that flop he had earlier at Del Mar. But those two are definitely going to be the top 2 in the probably Breeders' Cup or going forward when they do meet later this summer or fall.
Gun Runner, a 4-year-old by Candy Ride, 16 starts now, 9 wins, over $5.2 million in earnings. What a resume he's putting together for trainer Steve Asmussen. All right, bunch of big stakes at Saratoga last weekend, like they are every weekend up there at the spa. Let's talk about the 3-year-old filly American Gal in the test last Saturday. Let's show you the video turning for home. She gets in front and wins by 4, going away. Jose Ortiz aboard for trainer Simon Callahan. It's a 3-year-old filly by Concord Point. That's a young sire out of a Go Sapper mare, so Go Sapper continues his big summer. American Gal, nice win on the outside there in the test.
It was Ty's preview horse last week, right? American Gal on the red, white, and blue of Kaleem Shah. That was a very impressive race.
Yes, since switching to Simon Callahan, he's really tightened the screws on this filly. Simon Callahan, after the race, said they're just going to ship her back to Southern California and wait for the Breeders' Cup. So it looks like that was the last race before what I'm assuming is going to probably be the Sprint. He didn't signify where, if this horse might go to the distaff, but probably the Sprint. All
right, so American Gal, 2 for 2 so far this year. We'll see where she goes next. Let's talk about one more stake from Saratoga. Last Saturday was the Weah, the Grade 3 Weah Stakes, going 1.5 miles on the turf up there at Saratoga, and it's an Argentinian bred for trainer Mike Popeye. Mike, I think I messed up the trainer's name. Pipey. I'm not even going to try the horse's name, Dave. I'll let you say the horse's name.
All you know is it's Argentinian bred mare there, and for those of you who follow Latin American Racing Channel here at Laurel Park and our Latin American Racing Channel simulcast, you've seen her run, because that's where she'd run down there. And coming to this country, a solid win at 9-1 after being taken up a little bit on the first turn. Suffused, who was the favorite in the race, tracked a pretty slow pace there by Apple Betty, just a moderate pace, and looked like she had the race at almost all times until about the 3/16 pole, quarter pole. I mean, she just fell apart. I don't know what happened to Suffused. Maybe coming back another day, but a solid win for the Argentinian mare. They're tough.
I think the whole race fell apart when Suffused just stopped at the 8th pole, and it was a good win by the Argentinian bred. I don't know if I'm going to bet the horse back, but because I think the horse just fell apart at the top of the stretch, and she was the benefactor of that.
So Javier Castellano, he was the rider on Estrashada, so he had a big weekend. He got into the Hall of Fame, and he wins the Grade 3 there in the Weah. So that was 3 stakes from Saratoga last Saturday. Also, we want to show you from from Mountaineer, the West Virginia Derby out there at Mountaineer. 3-year-old son of Colonel John here. Let's show you the West Virginia Derby. Colonel's Dark Temper from the William Fires barn. This horse, a 7-1 upset in the Grade 3 West Virginia Derby. He was recently second in the Indiana Derby to IRAP, and before that, second to McCracken in the Matt Withers. But he puts it all together at 7-1, a wire-to-wire score here in the West Virginia Derby.
You don't see a lot of wire-to-wire type wins at Mountaineer. Usually horses come from mine off the pace, but there was very little speed in the race. Kudos to John Court, getting Colonel's Dark Temper on the lead at a moderate pace, slowing it down, hanging on to win over Game Over. Looking at Lee, closed late to finish 3rd. Patch, the favorite in the race, closed to finish 4th, but there was not enough pace for really either of those runners. My horse, Fat Man, he's kind of still running. He finished 6th, so bad pick on my part.
That was the Joe Sharp horse, right?
Yeah. Right. I thought he would be the Colonel's Dark Temper type of the race, but John Court for his father-in-law, I think, Jinx Fires, right? A.J. Foyt owns that horse.
All right, good stuff out there at Mountaineer. Let's go out to the West Coast at Del Mar, Cambodia for trainer Tom Proctor. We know him here on the East Coast, and he went out there on the West Coast and wins the Grade 2 Yellow Ribbon here with Cambodia, 5-year-old mare by Warfront, is out of a Smart Strike mare. So this is a well-bred 5-year-old putting it all together. She now has 5 wins from 12 starts, including this win here in the Grade 2 Yellow Ribbon.
Cambodia, if you've been betting the Maryland horses shipping out west, you've been making a lot of money, and the Proctor horses up at Saratoga finally had Tom Proctor had a win for Glen Hill Farm up there the other day. So Proctor striking East Coast and West Coast there. This one for Winter Quarter Farm. Had a little mild trouble early in the race, just steadied slightly as they came out of the chute there for the yellow ribbon. But I'll tell you, she's something else. She just looks like she can run all day.
Yeah, you see that replay. She was much the best in that race. She walked by or ran by them like they were standing still. And you touched on Tom Proctor. He's shipping them out west. He's shipping them to Saratoga. Won in the last race on Monday with a nice horse, and then he's got a really nice horse in a maiden special weight race on Friday here at Laurel Park.
All right, so that's the big national recap from last week. And when we come back, we have 2 stake races right here at Laurel Park this Saturday. We'll cover those. Also, some big races all over the country. We'll give you a preview of this weekend right after this. Welcome back, Laurel Park Weekly. I'm Stan Salter, Dave Robin, Ty Ellis, getting you ready for the big weekend of racing coming up. We have 2 stake races right here at Laurel Park this Saturday, and some big races all over the place, especially out there in Chicago, the Arlington Million and the Secretariat, the 4-Star Dave at Saratoga. We'll talk about all those, but I'm excited for this Saturday here at Laurel Park. 2 stakes, the Polynesian and the Twix Stakes. The Twix Stakes, of course, named after that famous filly Katie Voss trained around here a long time ago.
Yeah, and both races kind of look open. There's some stars in the race, though. We'll talk about Shimmering Aspen in a bit and some others, but Polynesian first on the slate here.
And the Polynesian's probably going to be a jumping board to the DeFrancis Dash, which is run at 6 furlongs here in a couple weeks.
And, you know, I'm just looking at the possibilities that we're running. It looks kind of an open race.
So the Polynesian for 3-year-olds and upward, 75,000 going 7 furlongs. Here's who's in there right now. Not the official entries, but here's who was in here in the race as of Wednesday morning. Divining Rod for Delacour with Daniel Centeno aboard. Final Prospect, Joe Moore Torres. Never Gone South with J.D. Acosta. No Distortion with Victor Carrasco. Rockin' On By with Taylor Hole. Royal Squeeze with Fergal Lynch. Southern Barbecue with Forrest Boyce. Tale of Life with Edgar Prado. The Truth or Else, no rider named right now. And Vorticity with Sheldon Russell aboard. So some nice runners here in this race. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 runners right now in the Polynesian. So this will be a nice race. Let's take a look at of who's going to be the favorite. No doubt. Divining Rod for Arnaud Delacour. Let's show you his last effort. So well-bred 5-year-old now by Tappet. Here's his last effort in the Grade 1 Cigar Mile at Aqueduct last November. In front, turning for home at about 6-1. Finishes a game second, just only beaten ahead by Connect, but a game effort here against Grade 1 company. If he's ready to fire off the layoff, Divining Rod going to be awfully tough to beat in the Polynesian.
Yeah, Delacour and Lail Stables having a solid few months together. You know, certainly the time away is a big question here. We'll see what happens with the post-draw, too. And it's a pretty big field, and there's some other speed, too, in the race.
Yeah, and if the Divining Rod isn't cranked up off that long layoff, the 7-furlong cutback is going to help. But this horse finished 3rd in the Preakness a while ago, so the horse can go long. Another question besides the layoff is going to be, is a cutback to a sprint going to fit this horse? The Cigar Mile is a 1-turn mile up at Belmont, and that was a really good race. So I don't think the 7 furlongs is going to be any bit of a problem here.
You know, he was 3rd in the Preakness back in 2015 behind American Pharaoh, and so we haven't seen him since November, so maybe the layoff a question mark. Maybe this gave him the winter off. He's been working well up there at Fairhill, where Arnaud Delacour's stable. I see a bullet 5-furlong work July 22nd up there at Fairhill on the synthetic, which is the Tapeta up there, a minute and 4 or a minute 0.4 up there. That was the fastest of 13 work. So some good works on the work tab. We'll see if Divining Rod is ready to go in the Polynesian. Some tough runners in here, though. Never Gone South is a 2-time stakes winner, I believe, here at Laurel Park. At least a 1-time stakes winner, Never Gone South, for trainer Cal Lynch. Let's show you his last win. This was June 24th here at Laurel Park against Allowance Company. This was his first win this year as a 4-year-old by Munnings for trainer Cal Lynch. It was his first win in a while, I guess. He'd been running against Stakes Company. They put him in an allowance race here. He gets a nice win here at Laurel Park, where he has a lot of success. 7 for 9 in the money with a couple wins. Now he steps back up in the Stakes Company. He won a stakes here at Laurel Park when he was a 3-year-old, I believe, never gone south.
Yeah, I mean, this is he'd kind of gone a little bit offbeat there for a while in the spring, earlier in the year, but the blinkers on turned him around. That was the key there, Stan. But then he came back at Delaware, threw in a clunker there, but he clearly likes Laurel. 9 starts, 2 wins, 3 seconds, 2/3 here. And he ran against Struth, who is in sharp form right now for trainer Kieran McGee at Delaware. He's coming back to his favorite track with those blinkers on at this track for the second time.
The horse runs to his best performance. He can compete. It's a really tough field we touched on. Graham Motion has a Japanese-bred horse, Tale of Life, that he's going to bring in here. Coming again off another long layoff, so it might be a prep for something a little bit more and cutting back. But Tale of Life, look for him to be tough, and it's a really good deep field. Kudos goes out to the racing.
Larry
office.
Jones with the horse that ran second to Seymour Deeney. What did he run? A 113 buyer figure or something like that in New York, I think.
That was it. I was disappointed that horse didn't come back in the Whitney.
What horse are we talking about?
No Distortion for Larry Jones.
All right, no distortion.
And speaking of Cal Lynch, I think doesn't he have another one in here? Yeah, he's got possibly Vorticity in here, who's 2 for 3 at Laurel Park. So Cal's got him surrounded here with a couple of entries, different ownership entities. That's not an easy spot, I think, for Divining Rod.
And it's never going south. A couple bullet works since that clunker at Delaware. 2 bullet works right here at Laurel Park. So that horse, I think, sitting on a big effort, never going south. Yeah, Cal Lynch with 2 runners in here. Vorticity, a sharp horse as well. So about 10 runners maybe in the Polynesian. That's going to be a nice stake this Saturday here at Laurel Park. Another stake we have here this Saturday, the Twix for filly and mares, 3 and up, going 7 furlongs. Here's who we have in there right now. Discreet Senorita is in there. Line of Best Fit with Julian Pimentel. Mela with Fergal Lynch. Monet Davis with Daniel Centeno. My Magician, Joe Moore Torres. Shimmering Aspen with Steve Hamilton aboard. Skyflower, Huey Louie and the Garcia is going to be in town to ride. Sweet on Smoky with Victor Carrasco. Sweet Grass with Sheldon Russell. Ultimate Holiday with Victor Carrasco. And affiliate supplemented to the race, Rachel's Temper for trainer David Canizzo. Edgar Prado aboard. So a deep field here. Nice job to the racing office. 2 big fields for our stake races this Saturday.
Absolutely. It's 10 in the Polynesian and 11 in the Twix. So those are big, full fields. Handle should be off the roof on Saturday.
Yeah, and we've got a couple of previews for you, right? One.
Yeah, so we got two here.
previews.
Line of Best Fit. Let's show you that horse first. From the Mike Trumbetta barn.
Or the
Shimmering Aspen,
Aspen.
my bad. I'm out of order here, guys. Thank you. Shimmering Aspen from the Rodney Jenkins barn. Let's show you that horse first. Here's her win, her last win against Stakes Company right here at Laurel Park in the Alma North. She won by almost 6 lengths going away as the heavy favored. So this was her first stakes when they tried her in the Black Eyed Susan going long. She was in front turning for home. Probably didn't maybe didn't like the slop there in the Black Eyed Susan, but going 7 furlongs, this horse undefeated and looking for her 3rd win at this distance against Stakes Company.
I think 1 turn is what this horse wants to do, and the sky's the limit for her. The Black Eyed Susan, she didn't run well. She came back in that last race in the Alma North.
Yeah, she was a victim, I think, very unlucky in the Black Eyed Susan, that rainstorm.
Yeah.
Because she drew the rail, that rain came down, the rail suddenly maybe was a little deeper there. I mean, she actually ran a winning race till about the 8th pole and then flattened out, and all the closers were coming to the center of the track, including Actress, the maiden who won the race in the Black Eyed Susan. But yeah, she certainly got the credentials for 1 turn, and she's from the word go, she was a very talented filly.
All right, so Shimmering Aspen probably going to be the heavy favorite here in the Twix. Let's take a look at some other ones in here. Line of Best Fit for trainer Kieran McGee. Let's show you this horse's win 2 starts ago up there at Parks. This was against upper level, 3 other than Allowance Company, going a mile. Strong win. Then they tried the Del Cap after this, the Grade 1 Delaware Handicap for $750,000. It was a small field. She finished 3rd in there. I believe, 5-horse field. She finished 3rd against Grade 1 Company. So Line of Best Fit coming out of the Grade 1 Del Cap might be an interesting challenger from the Kieran McGee barn here for Shimmering Aspen.
Yeah, beaten 3 lengths by Songbird in the Del Cap. She loves to win, 15 of 39 a lifetime. for her.
Yep.
The big question is, what do you make of that Delaware handicap race? I mean, a lot of people said Songbird didn't run her race. She still won, but you have a horse that finished third against a Breeders' Cup. If a horse that finished second to be Holder in the Breeders' Cup. So, line of best fit, if that Delaware handicap race was legit and Songbird ran a decent enough race, this horse could be a major contender in this race.
Rick Proctor, Sheffield Stables, all smiles. He's got a grade 1 stakes place mare, right? Line of best fit there and taking that chance. But she's been very consistent throughout her career, more than $500,000 in earnings. It's an interesting thing about the race, just kind of glancing at the Brett Calhoun shipping into Laurel with Mela. Is that right?
Yeah.
Mela, Fergal Lynch, yep.
Got a horse based in Churchill. It is a Maryland bred by Country Life Farms, so probably coming up a little bit for an extra bonus, but I was surprised by that. Sweet on Smokey's a good grinding horse. Claudio Gonzalez trains, excuse me.
Yeah, Mela coming out of grade 3 company down there in Kentucky should be an interesting challenger here for a sharp challenger here for Shimmering Aspen. Line of best fit. So about 11 filly mares in the Twick Stakes, 2 deep fields here for our stake races this Saturday at Laurel Park. Let's talk about the big stakes all over the country this Saturday. Arlington Park is going to have a big weekend. Of course, they have the Arlington Million, first $1 million race in this country, right? Arlington Million? I think it was. I'm going with that. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But let's move on here. Diva Sodero. Let's talk about this horse first in the Arlington Million, 5-year-old by Kitten's Joy. Let's show you the win from 2 starts ago, early May, down there at Churchill.
And, she's kind of really come back to best form, hasn't she, Diva Sodero?
She's a hit-or-miss horse. She's going to need some pace to run at. The track on Churchill on Kentucky Derby Day was actually not playing favorable to horses coming from the outside. The rail was good that day, so kind of went against the track. That was a good win. The horse is kind of a hit-or-miss horse. If the horse runs, $1 million doesn't look bad, and a grade 1 win. Buff Bradley trains the horse, and I'm assuming Le Peroux is probably going to ride.
Yeah, I'm looking at Kasaki, Ignacio Correas to run a big one. As well, horse has been training really solid. The Million, always, the spotlight race.
Chad Brown's got Beach Patrol in there. It's going to come up tough.
Aiden O'Brien with another one in there. Deauville. Let's show you this horse. 4-year-old by Galileo. Ran in the Arlington Million last year. A good third in the race last year. So let's show you. This is last year's running of the Arlington Million. That was won by Mondalisti. I didn't see this race last year, but let's talk about this race here. Deauville, Ty, your thoughts on Deauville?
Yeah, good third in here, obviously, in a tough Million race. Mondalisti came back to run in the Breeders' Cup turf and ran well, I believe. You talked about Kasaki, who finished second right ahead, but it was a blanket finish there. I expect this race to be much of the same. Deauville's a good Irish bred. You get second in a graded stakes up. You don't know what to make of those Irish shreds up at Leopardstown and up there. But if this horse's form can transfer from last year's Arlington Million, should be a contender.
You might get a price. We'll see. All right. Also at Arlington this Saturday, the Secretariat Oscar Performance is going to be in there. Let's show you his win last out in the Grade 1 Belmont Derby, going a mile and a piece up there on the turf out Belmont, mile and a quarter, I believe. This race went right to the front and just went all the way for trainer Brian Lynch, Jose Ortiz aboard. So Oscar Performance is going to try to do the same thing in the Secretariat this Saturday.
Really kicked home in this race. You see they went 49 and 4, so the pace wasn't that tough. Got an easy lead, but really accelerated, almost rebroke at the top of the stretch. Big scratch, or not scratch, but Frostmorn isn't running, who is going to be probably this horse's major competition in here. Oscar Performance I think there's only 5 or 6 we talked about that are going to be in there. Oscar Performance, if runs back to that Belmont Derby, is going to be really tough. There's talk there could be rain there, and the horse hasn't run well with a little cut in the grass before. So if that's the case, you might see a bit of a price in there.
Well, yeah, on the couple of times at Keeneland and Churchill over the spring on the good going, was subpar performances for Oscar Performance. Back on firm ground at Belmont, he's really been back on the beam, and his tactical early speed's always been a strong suit of trainer Brian Lynch.
All right, Saratoga's going to have a big stake this Saturday like they always do. The 4-star Dave up there, disco partner for Christophe Clement's going to be one of your favorites. Nice win 2 starts ago against Grade 3 company in the Japur, going 6 furlongs on the turf. Here's the effort coming up the rail for Disco Partner.
Stan, this is actually a world record race right here. The horse ran 6 furlongs in 105 and 3. Obviously, it was a firm going, but anytime you do that, that's a legitimate. Time Form came back and kind of verified the figure, and everything was good with that. You got a bit of a blanket finish, but anytime you go 106, 105, and 3.
Yeah. And he came back to win going a mile, so, he certainly is just not a pure sprinter. He can stretch out a little bit as well. There was that mile at Belmont, so a little bit different perhaps coming up in the 4-star. Dave, we'll see if he can carry that early speed.
Who's going to be running late? That's the winner of our Grade 2 Dixie at Pimlico. Let's show you World Approval on the 3rd Saturday of May at Pimlico. 5-year-old by Northern Fleet for trainer Mark Cassie. Nice win here in the Grade 2 Dixie. Won the Grade 1 United Nations last year. So I think this 5-year-old sitting on a huge campaign. Didn't run very well in the Grade 1 Manhattan last out up there at Belmont. But if he can get back to the form that he had in the Grade 2 Dixie, World Approval, big good-looking gray, should be awfully tough in the 4-star, Dave.
Yep. Well, one of the millionaires was nominated to the race there, and certainly a very popular, flashy-looking gray for Live Oak Plantation. Everybody likes to play. Beaten only a length and change by the Graham Motion runner, Ascend. You've seen upset in New York and run here.
And I think what is going to help improve World Approval even more is you're cutting back to a mile here. The 4-star Dave is a mile. This horse has been running mile and an 1/8, mile and a 16th. With the front-running style that this horse has, I just think the speed is going to carry a little bit more. And if they get some firm ground, World Approval should be really tough against probably what Disco Partner is going to be probably a heavy favorite in the race.
Is American Patriot running in there? I don't know if he is
entered. Was nominated. I don't know if he's entered yet.
Running it. Okay.
Disco Partner going to be favored over World Approval?
I think so.
In the 4-star, Dave?
Yeah, I think when you got a world record and then you come back and really prove that race was legit, I think a lot of people are going to be on the Clement Disco Approval horse.
All right, should be an interesting race in the 4-star, Dave, at Saratoga, the Arlington Million, and a bunch of other good races from Arlington. We have 2 stake races right here for you at Laurel Park, the Polynesian and the Twix. Should be a great weekend of racing. It all kicks off Friday here for our 3-day race weekend. We have a little small carryover in that Rainbow Pick 6, a little shy of $1,000, but we'll get it back up there. Maybe have a big mandatory payout before we go to the Big T.
Well, Saturday's a great day to play it. That is with the double stakes here.
Absolutely. All right, so best of luck. We hope to see you out here this weekend. And don't forget, mark your calendars, Saturday, August 19th, big Maryland Pride Day out here. Some great horse racing, Maryland food, Maryland alcohol, and the Champions Handicapping tournaments. To go to laurelpark.com to learn more about all of that. Good luck. We'll see you this weekend at the races.
Good luck. Good luck.